Well, I hope you don't think I was hurting anything, but sometimes we use power tools. So we've got ourselves a problem. I checked the forecast this morning and we've got frost, deep freezes coming. And so the bad news is that means no more tablets. I know that that's been something I've been talking about for a while, that we were working hard to get those done, but you can't have lime mortar be put on when you're gonna have freezing temperatures. I've got burlap, I know how to protect it, but when it's gonna be consistently really cold overnight and in the freeze, it'll just destroy the work and we would have to end up redoing it in the spring. And I mean, maybe there's a chance that we could be successful with it and that the temperatures would hold up for us. There's always a chance in that, but I'm not willing to risk that work because we've got so much other work to do. So we're gonna continue to work on tablets a little bit where we can, but we're not gonna be using the lime mortar because that just takes a long time to go off and to set properly, and it has to be done right, and that's what we're gonna do. So luckily for you, I'm filming this in the fall, as you can see, but you're not seeing this until winter. So that wasn't necessarily intentional. It's just the way that my filming worked out. But it does mean that we're gonna change course a little bit. So what we've got today is some tablets, but they don't need lime mortar. We've got some other products that we're using for this, for the fractures, and we're gonna work on that today. I wanna have some success. I wanna show you what we can do and where we're headed with this. So today's project is to work on getting these two tablets back up. You can see the keyways here are intact, which is awesome. They're still stuck in here real well, but they've got some pretty heavy duty fractures. One is in a bunch of pieces. I'm not sure we could even get that back together. This one, that one's in a little bit better shape. But first order of business, dig a bigger hole. We gotta work on the foundations here. So there's already a piece of limestone down in here. So you probably remember from an earlier video that there's a piece of limestone down in here that was used as a foundation, but it has, I don't want to say it's sunk, but the ground has grown up around it. It sunk down, all the things. And so our project is to get a new foundation back up. And we can do that. So hang with me. We'll get some more dirt shoveled because that's what we do. And we'll work on these two tablets. You all have seen me use this grid material now for quite a while, a couple years. And so when I got going with this project, TrueGrid, who makes this product, reached out and wanted to help and was super grateful for their assistance. It's a reinforced soil structure. And the way this works is you've got these cells that hold a gravel, a crushed stone. And this sits like a snowshoe on top of the ground. And so with this, people build roads out of this. People use this as foundations for hot tubs and sheds and parking lots. And so we see that in cemeteries from time to time. Like right behind me, we have a road. It's not used as such right now, but back here, right here is a drive area. And we all know that when you've got soil and you try and drive a truck through that, you're gonna leave ruts. And so this is a great lower cost alternative to putting in paving. And the great thing about this is that it's permeable. Water goes through it, grass can grow through it. There's no issues with it degrading in the ground or needing to be placed. And if something happens, it's reworkable because it's ultimately just this membrane. And so if something were to happen, I could pull this up, adjust it, no problem. And so I love using this under foundations. So if you've got a yard, if you're looking to put a road in, you've got a cemetery like this, you know, for our farm, it's great for putting implements on top of that. We don't deal with any rutting issues. So if you're looking for something along those lines, check out TrueGrid. I've got a link in the description where you can take a look at what their products are. And thanks TrueGrid for helping out and sponsoring this video and helping us with this cemetery. amazing. I love this product. I've been using it a long time. You've seen it on a lot of videos. So they're USA made. They're out of Omaha, Nebraska. So something relatively local for me, which is super awesome. I love that. And it's recycled plastic. So, you know, this isn't something that's going to a landfill or whatever. It's a great use for this product. So really happy to have this, and let's get these put in. Foundation. Just kind of test fitting this in here to see how this is going to lay out. So this is overkill for sure, but I wanted to, since I was excavating so much, I thought, well, we've got the grid, let's use it. So I just want to make sure I've got the width correct, and we certainly know where they go because the limestone foundations are still under there. They were shifted a little bit, but we were able to get them in there no problem. So now I compact that subsoil. We'll start adding some gravel to get a good level, put the grid in, so on and so forth. So we're in great shape. Let's keep going. Clearly the most important part of this whole process is like, great, we can get it level, but it's gotta be compact. So let's just add a little water in here, and then let's run that SDS over this with a compaction plate. These two headstones are that of William Garrett Sr. and his grandson Leighton. In an earlier video, I pulled these out of the ground and I found lots of broken parts that were just literally below the ground. And so if you want to take a look at that, I'll put a link up here. You can take a look at that in an earlier video, because that was a massive discovery process trying to figure out where things went. William Garrett was born April 23rd, 1770 in South Carolina. In April 17, 1794, in Abbeville, South Carolina, William married Margaret Ross. Now, William and Margaret, they raised a young family in Abbeville before moving to Ohio. And their records are faint enough that we don't know the names of all of their children, but we know for sure some of them will be Robert, William Jr., and John. But others that are possible would be Rebecca, Martha, Margaret, Elizabeth, and Thomas, because when censuses are old enough, sometimes we don't always have names associated with that, but those are some of the ones that I found. By 1820, the family had moved to Paint, Ohio, where they were farmers. This was a really fertile area, the Ohio River Valley, and it was really an area that a lot of migrants had moved to in that era. Farmland was really super cheap, and this was really just outside of Cincinnati, just east of that in southern Ohio. In 1831, William's wife Margaret died, and we know from records that William didn't remarry and that he went on to live with or near his children. In 1850, he was living with his son Robert while two other sons had moved to Iowa. A few years later, Robert moved to Iowa to join his brothers, and Dad William joined them. William died in 1857 at the age of 83. Now, grandson Leighton is the one buried next to him. And Leighton, we really don't know a whole lot about him. He was born to William Garrett Sr.'s son, William Jr., and William Jr. had married Mary Dean around 1822 in Ohio. He was born in 1842 and passed away later in 1860. So we're building this entire grade off of this one foundation piece that's back in the corner. So we've got basically our high spot back here on this near side, and I'm building everything to the grade off of that, and it's right here. So just spending a little extra time right now fine-tuning this. All right, so we've just got the grid installed, which is huge. It's a lot of work. It's really a lot of work to make sure that you've got a good foundation in, but it's so important. If we don't have a good foundation in, these will just break again. The benefit about having a great foundation where things are level and plumb is simply that gravity is on our side. If we don't have gravity, no epoxy, no adhesive, no nothing is gonna help us out. Eventually it'll fail, but with gravity, as long as things are standing up nice and straight, we're good to go. So it's not fancy work, but it really matters to have a good quality foundation. So spend that extra time, make sure you've got a good foundation in, and you'll be setting yourself up for a lot of success. So well, we've got the foundation in, let's get a little bit more gravel in here, let's get this cleaned up, and then let's slide these back in place. We know where they go, right here, and then right behind me, and then let's get them cleaned, and let's work on getting some bonding done. But let's get them clean and reset. All right.
It's been a little while since I pulled these up, but you can see back here on my right-hand side where I pulled up all the fragments and dug those up. They were basically down. The keyway was still up, it's here, but it's gonna fill that direction. Now the bottom is certainly not going to be completely level, so we'll have to fine tune it. That's just part of the design of these older keyways, is that they're just not going to be perfect. So we'll align it, we'll get it back. Yep, so we are perfectly level on our grid. Now we just have to adjust the keyway just a smidge, so no problem. Let's get some tools here. And as we do this, we're going to make sure that this is in the right spot. So this is where our flag was. You can see we've got our flag here. I know that this piece here, this is back of the foundation. It wasn't done there. It was just punching this. So you want to run it back to it. I'm also sighting in the line here to make sure that they're accurate off of this. Once I get my bar under there, I can start forcing just a bit. You have to crop it if this is going to be more plump on the base, so I want to make sure I'm getting the most part of the base. That will check that one out. I want to make sure that I've got this aligned as well, and I think the far side, go forward. You guys like this type of content? I do all this work as a volunteer. I've been volunteering during this thing for some time now. If you like this and you want to support this, if you like this content, if you like cemeteries, if you like history, join my Patreon. We've got a great community over there. Help support me with the funding to get this kind of work done. This is not cheap. The supplies are expensive. And if you want to keep me out in the cemetery doing this work, join my Patreon. Yeah. Got some extra content over there, some behind the scenes videos. Thank you for keeping over there. So thank you for Patreons and joining me even so far. You guys are awesome.
This is an area where it's fractured, and I'm just going to clean it with my regular nylon brush here, but in case we do find another piece, we'll come back and we'll re-clean it with a wire brush so that we can get a good bond on there. But so far, we haven't found that piece unless it's sitting over in that pile, and I have not examined that pile yet. All right, I know that you all are here for the clean, but let's get this thing reset, huh? Boy, this stone is pretty rough. I just want to fit this up and take a look at it and see what we've got going before we go any further. And this allows me to step back and take a look at it and not just let you all get to have fun. Looks good, but it's pretty rough. Just shows you just how down in the ground that was, which is unfortunate, how much more weathered it is just because it was laying on its back. You know, this stone right here was vertical, and all this additional weathering that you see between here and here is simply because it was laying on its back. And if it wasn't, yeah, this is perfect. Perfect alignment, nice and plumb. Okay, I'm happy with that. Frankly, what you're seeing right here is why it's beneficial to at least get stones to not lay flat on the ground like this. You know, even just a little bit of an angle would have shed more of the water, but as it was taking all the force of the water right down on it. And that wasn't healthy for it at all. It's a lot like mixing up a lime mortar where you add just the smallest bit of water and you think you need more water, and then you add way too much water. So you gotta be very, very careful with the amount of water that you're adding to this because you can go too far really too quickly. All right, perfect. One long clamp so we can go a left to right adjustment. There we go. Perfect. So we talked about this before with other stones, and one of the things that I'm seeing here as well is there's a warp to this, and that's sort of what you expect when this happens to be in the ground for a long period of time. You can see it. It's not going to show up on camera, but there's a little warp. Basically, this area is proud, and these areas have come back just a little bit. And the reason for that is this was sitting up on the ground, and so the edges, as the sun radiated on it and so forth, it warped. That's just simply what happens to these stones as they sit out in that environment in a position that's not healthy for them. So that's fine. We'll work with what we can do. This does clean up with water before it sets, and so I'm just ever so slightly hitting the surface with the nozzle here, just feathering it ever so slightly. It looks nice and clean. I think that's enough for today. We're gonna let this one set up. I'll just continue the video. I'll be right back with you and we'll work on this other one. All right, so here's what we're facing. This is gonna come apart. There's a fracture all the way here. It's already moving. So I'm not gonna mess with this anymore, but we're gonna have to fill that. But I can feel this. Just putting that pressure on there, it wants to separate. So we're gonna have to work on repairing that before we even go any further, because that's just going to sort of explode. That's unfortunate. Well, I wasn't honestly expecting to work on that tonight, but I don't really want to leave that overnight and have it somehow, something bad happen to it. So the light's fading, but let's see what we can do. So the issue we're facing is right here, and this wants to come out. And part of the issue with this is that there's roots in here. And I wish you could all see this closer. So the issue is just right here is this crack. And there's roots that have gotten into it. So trying to work through this. To make matters worse, we've got just the lightest of mist coming on overhead. As long as this isn't set, this is still very workable and it cleans up with water. So I went a little bit aggressive with this, just want to make sure that we get as much in there as possible, and then we will clean up here on the edges, just feathering this in. I certainly don't mind any of the damp air that's coming with it, but I don't want direct raindrops. So we're just going to use some of the stone and interlace it. So we'll build a bridge. Like I said, I don't really care if it's raining while this is up. I just don't want pooling water on there. So that's perfectly sufficient. It's not going to take all that long to set, but since we've got some drizzle, I want to make sure that this is at least reasonably undercover, which it is. So now it's nearly dark. So we've done a little injection grout. We've got some more cleaning to do. I think I can see how this might go together. So even though I'm not all that confident I'm going to be able to get this back together because there might be pieces missing or sugaring or something like that, we're going to give it a try. So let's just keep going. It'll be another night for me. It'll be right now for you. Last night when I was out here, I didn't bring my detail kit. I've got a dental pick that I normally have with me, but I didn't. And I didn't have an injection needle small enough to be appropriate for this crack, for this infill. But let's take a look and see what we've got going today. So you can see this set up really, really nice. But what we're gonna do is come in from the other side now, clean it a little bit more here with the pick. Oh yeah, see that's exactly what we want. And the thing with this too, this is the mating surface, and so having it proud like this is totally okay because this is gonna be fit with another piece right here. So having that little excess, there's nothing that we need to do there. So that's a really good spot, but I just wanna kind of probe in here and see just how far that goes and if we need to make any modifications here. Yeah, we should probably address right along here. Right now we've got some root systems in here. This is some of it. This would have fractured originally, but then once there's a hole, roots like that will set in there. And they're of course dead now. I mean, we've treated it, but as we do this, we want to make sure that we've got a solid material to work with. So just scraping this is again the mating surface, so I'm okay being a little bit more aggressive with it. But I just want to make sure that we've got everything out of there. I think we're in a good spot. So what we're doing here with this injection grout is we're going to work it into this crack. And I'm okay with it being proud like it is right now, because we're gonna come back and we're gonna pare it down just a little bit, and then there's gonna be a lime mortar infill over top of this. So I just wanna make sure we get some of this in the cracks to stabilize it, then we'll come back over top of it. So you've got quite a vertical crack going on right here. I've already gone in and cleaned it out the other day. The backside here, you can see it continues to extend down, so I'd rather stabilize that up here as long as I have this open and we haven't found this piece yet. And just like with the other piece, we're gonna infill this later, so I'm only putting this down deeper into the crack because we'll infill on top of this with another material. So the neatness in this instance doesn't matter quite as much. So I've been playing around with this a little bit to see if I could find any pieces that actually matched. And it's still kind of tricky, not gonna lie. So I did find one piece here that I believe is this, but just one. So I'm gonna lay this back down and I'm gonna call this is the bottom part. So we're gonna stick with this and we're gonna see what else we can find that might fit together. So we're looking for something that's 20 inches wide, and my grid, for reference, is 24 inches wide. So the quick way to do this is we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rings. If I measure from the outside there, we drop 1 ring off. That gets us right at 24. So as we piece this together, we can sort of use that as a map or a guide, a grid to keep us together. And I know when I was looking at this, I found a couple different pieces that looked like they were face up, like this. So here, there's a bit of a curve. And I know that I've got that same piece here, and I know this is going to be a top right corner because I've got a finished edge here and I've got a finished top. So I'm just going to set this near here. I don't know how that's going to fit, but actually that could fit right there potentially because it looks like the radius continues. Potentially. Let's check the height too. So this other one is 34 inches high, and from the middle of the break it's about 24. So we're looking for about 2 feet. If these are matching, we're looking for about 2 feet. So 24, so we're looking for just about right here on this grid. We might have enough material for that. Let's keep going. This piece is actually pretty unfortunate. This is all really sugaring just terribly up here. And as I was cleaning it, I mean, it's just going away. We do have one piece over here. We do have a finished side. And because of the way that this back is, I need to clean it still. I'm gonna make an assumption that that's either the very top, because it's sugared, that's oftentimes how they fall and sit. Got a finished edge here that I need to clean. And this piece over here, I noticed there was some letters on here, but I also noticed a period right here. I'm gonna walk this over to the camera so again you can see this. So we have an M with a period. So at least I know that the vertical orientation is correct here. It also has a finished side. So I'm gonna go ahead and set that here. We also know that this piece that we've been working on has letters, and that's the finished side. So I'm wondering if that somehow loosely fits here. And since we are looking for just 20 inches wide, I'm gonna guess that that's potentially there. Let me get a straight edge. So if I read across with the letters, yeah. So that's appropriately placed. M, they're capital letters. So just using my level here as a straight edge, I can definitely read across and I can see that the letters do line up. So I'm pretty confident, especially width-wise, because again, we're looking for 24 inches, or excuse me, 20 inches. And that's 20 spot on. So that's a match. There's just a lot of voids. That's okay. Well, we know this is top right, so let's just slide that down and let's see where this fits, because maybe this somehow fits in. No, that doesn't fit. Yeah, this is kind of what I was worried about. There's just not enough pieces here. Also, this is a confusing one because look at this. Here to here is too wide. This is like 24 inches wide. Which means that's the back. So again, if we assume that these are matching, top to bottom, we're looking at 34 inches out of the keyway. Let's use this one. So we've got 8 inches. So let's use our grid as a layout here. So we already know 20 inches wide. It's still 8 inches on this. So 8 inches is roughly 2 circles, roughly. So if I start this one right here, and we already know this is a match. And we know that fits just like so. So using the grid, we've got to get to here. Roughly. And if that's the case, oh. So here's the part where you all weren't yelling at me loudly enough. This piece is not the top right piece, it's the top left. I can see because of the symbolism right here. Which means this fits right here. There we go. Okay, okay. Look at us go. Do we have any more outside pieces? We do. And we know it's not on that side because we're full up. So it's gotta be over here. There it is. Right there. Okay, okay. I bet that goes right there. Yep. It does. Which means this doesn't fit worth anything. It's too tall, it's too wide, it's too everything. There's an outside edge. Top? No. Wow. Does this go to this other one? Is that what this is? No. There's no way that fits. Okay, well we've got, oh, wow, okay. I'm gonna work with what I've got. I'm gonna get some pieces up. I'll figure out that top corner later. Honestly, maybe not the right joke, but this corner is missing here, back here. That corner is also missing. So it's not gonna hurt anything to have a missing piece. Clearly this has a missing piece. All good. So let's get these clamps out because I need to reuse these pieces. This has been up for a little while. So let's get these pulled out and work on this other one. Just want to make sure this is clean right here because I'm going to drop another clamp. This is kicking it to the back just a smidge. There we go. Okay, so this is the next piece that we've got. Let's see how this fits in. This one's a little bit tricky. Not terrible, but just a bit. I am kind of running out of clamps, so this may be getting to the last piece here. I know cameras do just a terrible job at showing how dark things are. It's getting hard to see out here. So this is definitely the last for the night. I can actually see better through the camera viewfinder than I can here in person, which is crazy. So what you can see, because I can't very well, we've got a lot of holes. That will get filled in. We'll use a material for that. So any of this material, this adhesive material that you can see here, don't worry about that because that'll get covered up as we infill. What I'm just kind of looking for is making sure that we're lined up properly as we're reading across. I don't think I've ever used a flashlight in a cemetery before like this, but first time for everything. So I want to put one more clamp here. This is really hard to do with two hands. Come on. Okay. Okay, well, considering I can't see anymore, I think it's time to call it a night. And I think I've used enough clamps. I might have to get some more. The last thing to do, we do have some weather setting in, so let's get this covered up so that we don't have any rain issues. And here's the rain right now. Well, I think that's enough for tonight. This is all covered up. Let's let the thunderstorms come on in, but everything's nice and protected. We've got the burlap over here pulled back from the stone. It'll survive the storm just fine. So thanks for watching, guys. Come back the next time and we'll finish getting this reset. Thanks for watching. It is the day that we've been waiting for a long time. We've got a break in the weather and it's bonding day. It's been a few weeks since we've been able to get this up. The weather just hasn't cooperated. We've got a couple more pieces to work on, and then we've got some other monuments behind us here that we've got to get bonded today before the weather breaks and we get cold weather again. Freezing temps, no good. So let's get this up. Okay, I just want to kind of dry fit some of these because it's been a while since I've worked on this. I want to make sure that I remember where everything goes. It's a pretty fussy fit too. Okay, I'm comfortable with that. So we're gonna have to start right to left to piece these together. There we go. Much, much better. All right, so looking good. I'm just gonna test fit this one. Oh yeah, yeah. I like that a lot. All right, I'm pretty excited for this. This looks really good. We are gonna have to come back in this spring and infill this. We're gonna have some lime products that we're gonna infill this with. So right now it looks pretty rough, but I can see in my head where we're headed with this. With this infill, it's gonna look gorgeous. So stay tuned for this one. It's gonna be really, really nice once we get into the spring and get these clamps off, infill, good to go. So excited for this one. It's another day, and it's actually another year. You can see from the grass around me that winter's passed. The dirt that I made a mess of here is already growing new grass, and we're in this next year. So the work that we've got to do is to infill this, and I've waited a little while because I had lots of other projects, and these were stood back up and safe. But now we're going to spend some time doing the infill. So I spent this winter working with a lab to get some color matched repair mortar, and what we're going to do is we're going to use that repair mortar to fill in the voids here. I've decided I'm not gonna mess around with this section here. It's big, we could consider it, but I'm not gonna worry about it. So we're not gonna fill in here or here, but I've got this new repair mortar, and over time, as it dries and as it cures, it's gonna be able to match this really aged white marble stone. So let's get together and let's get this infilled. This is Leighton Wilson right here, and the biggest loss that we have on this entire inscription is actually, unfortunately, his first name. Starts with the L right here, and then you can see the O and the N over here, and the middle initial W there. And we now then see his parents down here, died, and then additional information that honestly at this moment in time I can't read. So we're gonna take a look and see if we can get this infilled. We're gonna start out with some of the smaller areas first. These letters are incredibly challenging. The worn marble that's on here is so rounded that our eyes can see it, but my carving tool is really challenging to try and replicate that. So we have to go really, really slowly with this.